Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0 Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Welcome back to the 3-0 Take, presented by SeatGeek. This is episode 488. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin. I'm here with my co-host, Nate Reyes. Nate.
Some say co-host, some say model, based on that beautiful t-shirt you got on there, sir. Lovely. That tallies up 2.
Yep, that's two of 10 this offseason. Yep, this is
spectacular.
The losing bet t-shirt makes its return. As you can see, you got three Nates on there, and then some 90s generational shortstops. Some of whom your face are covering, but that's neither here nor there. But tally another one for the good guys. That's 2 for me.
Delightful.
8 appearances, aka 8 episodes left until my debt is paid.
That I forgot about it. I really did. Like, we went through. You said it. Look, we're gonna get some new listeners. If you're new, welcome. By the way, thanks for hanging out with us. You said, look, we're going to get some new people during the playoffs, during the postseason. I don't know if I want to be wearing it during the postseason. Postseason goes. Yankees break my heart. I forget. I lose track. You bringing this out revitalizes a lot of things in here that were broken and hurt. So
man of honor, man of integrity. I lost a bet fair and square. Which, by the way, I've yet to make my donation to the Yankees Foundation.
I think we got to get like an email confirmation on that posted.
I'll get that taken care of. But it's here, it's alive and well. The bet is en route to being paid off.
Excellent.
So here we are. Let's talk some baseball.
Sure.
That's what we do on this show. That's what we do on this podcast. And as Nate mentioned, if you're new, welcome. We appreciate your support. If you're a regular listener, we love you all just the same. All are welcome here, and we are grateful that of all the things you could be doing with your time, that you decided to spend it with us. So thank you, folks. Speaking of spending time, I don't know if right off the top here, I don't know if Jordan Montgomery genuinely wants to spend another minute in this Arizona Diamondbacks mix, because what a weird situation this has developed into. I mean, you could see it coming from a mile away once the initial comments were made, which will obviously refresh you all if you maybe forgot. But the latest, and the reason we're sort of leading off with Montgomery here, is that the report, according to Jeff Passan, I don't know where that came from. Came out stating that the Diamondbacks were willing to eat some of the contract in order to maybe get this guy out of town.
And just wanted to confirm real fast that contract.
22.5.
Yep. 22.5 owed to him this year. Very good. Well, what's the keyword sum here? You know what I mean? Like sum. What are you willing to eat? And what Jordan Montgomery are you going to get?
That's what we don't know. I saw a take. I know we're starting off a segment with a take that I saw on social media. Maybe not the best source to go off of, but I saw something and it just made me go, made me wonder a little bit. I saw somebody on the interwebs talking about
the WW dots,
or throwing out the idea rather, that the Diamondbacks would hit Jordan Montgomery with the Mad Bum treatment.
Which
of just
was
DFA,
just baseball jail.
Just DFAing him and say, we'll eat whatever we need to eat. That seems a bit extreme, given that, like you said, if you don't know which Jordan Montgomery you're going to get, that seems a little bit risky. With the Mad Bum thing, it's like we kind of knew. You could see the writing on the wall. You knew the direction, the trajectory of that career the final years that he had left there. You could see that that's where it was headed. But with Montgomery, I'm not. If I'm the Diamondbacks, I'm not willing to DFA the guy and say, well, I say that purely based off potential for performance. I'm not talking about the behind closed doors, the seemingly bad blood here that exists between the two parties. I know that plays a factor, and possibly a bigger factor than maybe we're giving credit or giving credence to. But just purely off of just purely talking potential for talent, because again, late start to the season, did not pan out well, did not have a good season whatsoever. But if you get the Montgomery that was rightfully so seeking a pretty substantial contract prior to the 2024 season, then we're looking at something completely different.
Yeah.
Because if you get that Jordan Montgomery,
if you get the Rangers in the occasional Yankee Jordan Montgomery. Yeah.
And the Jordan Montgomery that felt he was so good that he could turn down playing in Boston, mind you. But that's a different story for a different day.
Yeah, the 22.5 is like, it's a tough number because 22.5 is like, I'm banking on you being a 1 or 2 in the rotation.
I would say, I mean,
probably a 2.
Yeah, 22.5 isn't.
That's a chunk of change. For a lot of teams, that's a chunk of change.
Sure.
Now, say he goes back to form. If I'm a Red Sox, Cubs, Mets, and I'll give you one top 15 prospect, and the Diamondbacks have to eat half that contract, why not? And he slots into the rotation as a back end guy for $11 million. That makes a lot more sense. If you're the Diamondbacks, say, all right, I'll pay $11 million for a top 15 prospect. That's kind of how you have to look at it. Maybe a big league ready guy, maybe a quadruple A guy as a kicker. That's interesting. There's a lot of teams that would do that. It just depends on how much the Diamondbacks are willing to eat.
I don't know.
The higher that prospect, the less money they're eating, in my mind.
Sure.
Higher ranking. Lower ranking?
I get what you're saying.
You got me.
The comments from Ken Kendrick, though, just I can't shake those, man. Where he called it, what did he say? It was the worst decision or a terrible decision? One of the worst decisions. I mean, how do you say that? I need to go. I want to go back and find this quote.
It's a tough one. It's a tough pill to swallow.
How in the world do you say that about a guy that has the potential to stick around in your franchise? Like, this isn't a guy you kick to the curb. This isn't a guy that has been removed from baseball, hasn't seen a diamond in 5-6 years. Like, he's
not 39.
He's quite literally here, right here in front of you.
Yeah, it's a tough look.
What did he say?
It reminds me of the old days, though. I will say that. It brings me back a little bit.
That I'll give you. Yeah.
A little more candid, where we actually heard the true feelings of someone that's in the front office, whether they're an owner, GM, whatever. Those days are dead. I miss those days. I want someone to be blunt, say what we're thinking. We've gotten to this era, this generation where our fandom is better accurately describing the situation than the team. Too politically correct. Be blunt.
He said, looking back in hindsight, a horrible decision to invest that money in a guy who performed as poorly as he did. It's our biggest mistake this season from a talent standpoint, and I'm the perpetrator of that. I mean, that's Steinbrenner vibes.
It is.
And not the current Steinbrenner.
No, not that. No. George.
In terms of teams, though, you threw out the Mets, and that was actually a team that I had written down because, I mean, I don't have the career numbers or trajectories in front of me or data points, but a name that comes to mind that could maybe see a similar or that we've seen already have the outcome that the team was hoping for, Sean Manaea. If you have a guy like Jordan Montgomery get into the Mets lab, figure some things out, start on time, have a normal length spring training, because we're seeing more and more the necessity of that and the impact that can have on a season, whether good or bad. If you can get in there in the Mets lab, we could be looking at sort of like a Manaea turnaround. And mind you, I say this understanding that this isn't a thing where Jordan Montgomery has gone like seasons without seeing success. We're only talking like a year ago. Yeah. So I'm not saying that like Jordan Montgomery is like he's coming in on a wing and a prayer trying to figure things out for the remainder of his career, hoping he can stay in the league. But like you would hope that wherever he ends up, that he's able to get in there, make some tweaks if necessary, and get back on the horse. And I think the Mets could maybe be a team that does that. I also have the Rangers written down because I think
a reunion.
I mean, why not? You found success there. Whatever you were incorporating, whatever you were implementing in terms of your approach, your mechanics, obviously worked. And let's not forget that I think Jordan Montgomery is going to be rather motivated this year, having gone through the whole Boras situation, having to deal with this Ken Kendrick nonsense. Like, you want to be able to shake that stigma a little bit, because the reality of it is whether or not you agree with Ken Kendrick, these things were said, and this is sort of the narrative / storyline that's kind of following you around. It's a little bit of a stink. And I think for those reasons and probably more, that Jordan Montgomery is going to want to come out and reassert himself as a strong middle of the rotation option.
Yeah, it's true. When you look at, I'm just looking through like free agent starting pitchers and like price wise. Is it realistic to say the Diamondbacks lead half? Is that crazy?
That's probably the expectation. They're not eating the whole.
Yeah,
I mean, of course, if you get into like DFA waters, we're talking different things. But if they were like, hey, we found a suitor, we're willing to eat, fill in the blank. I think the number that you can fill in there is probably half. Like that's probably a fair expectation.
So, like for $11 million, it's a year. It's not like you're committing multiple years to this. It's 1 year. That's it. Set to be a free agent next year. So when you go down the list of free agents, you got a 40-year-old Max Scherzer. That's going to be more than $11 million anyway. Verlander, 41. You're not putting this conversation in a Patrick Corbin conversation. I think Patrick Corbin's 35. Jordan Montgomery's 32. Right? So I would say, all right, that's fair. Charlie Morton, 41. I think Nathan Eovaldi is going to get multiple years. So that's not happening. Frankie Montas maybe fits into that same category. So let's see what they're projecting. So Frankie Montas had 16 million AAV on his last contract. I think that goes down. You're in that category of like, you're taking a risk. These are names you're going to take a risk with, right? I think Sean Manaea earned himself multiple years on his next contract. Shane Bieber, I think is more than 11.5 million. Flaherty's more than that, probably multiple years. Jose Quintana older than that. So, like, overall, there could be a lot of reward here. And there's not a lot of names free agent wise that you could get a 1-year deal of that dollar amount, in my mind.
That's fair. Yeah, I would agree.
With that high of a ceiling. You know what I'm saying? With
right.
that,
That's
with
the
that
key.
like
The
that
potential.
potential attached to it. I think a lot of those names I mentioned, you know who they are, and you're not willing to risk that. But again, like if you get that Jordan Montgomery who was with the Rangers, then you get someone who's at times can be dominant, and he's filling in a spot in your rotation at the 4 or 5. He's eating 140 innings and giving you some quality starts, like for $11 million and a top 20 prospect, maybe 2 prospects. That ain't that bad. Could also look at like your own team and say, we want to offload a little bit of money and send that back to Arizona. I don't know what Arizona is like. I don't know what the Diamondbacks are really needing as far as spots go.
But ultimately, though, we can pretty much assume that he will not be starting for the Diamondbacks in 2025. Correct? I mean that's a fair assumption. You just don't come back from this. I'm not saying that you can't gentleman's handshake, kind of talk things through and come to a sort of a resolution, but like that. He wasn't talking about the way the guy dresses. Like he quite literally said that this was one of the worst decisions he had made. That's even if you're able to reconcile that, I just don't know if I want to be a part of that organization anymore.
I agree. If you're the Red Sox, I think you go and get this done. There were rumors attached last offseason to him.
I'd rather not, honestly. Like I know I've made jokes about it, but the whole like not wanting to pitch for the Red Sox because he wanted to win thing. Like I can respect it, but I'm a little petty, and I'm like, I don't want that mindset. I don't want that mentality from that particular individual coming back to Boston, and or I should say coming to Boston. And more importantly, I think hopefully the Red Sox have their eyes on bigger prizes in terms of specifically pitching. Like I know that somehow they've been linked to Juan Soto. They've got a meeting set up. I'm not talking about offensively, but I'm saying from a pitching standpoint, they know that that's a weakness right now, and that they need to shore that rotation up a little bit. And so I don't even want to settle for a guy like Jordan Montgomery. I would rather set my sights on some of these bigger names, like a Max Fried, who we talked about, who I think would be a much better fit for the team anyway.
Fair.
Speaking of Max Fried, let's talk NL East here. Alec Bohm reported that Alec Bohm is on the trading block. And
what was the quote? It was like shaking things up, shaking our roster up a little bit, something like that.
Jeff Passan, am I get that right? Jeff, forgive me. I don't know why I called you Passan.
I've never heard you say that before.
I've never said that. We've been doing this for years, and I don't think I've ever said Passan. I apologize, Jeff. My bad. Jeff Passan. Alec Bohm, third baseman, coming off a career best season, the 28-year-old Bohm nonetheless finds himself on the trade block. While he was a well above average hitter, /280, 332, 448 with 61 extra base hits, his first half OPS was nearly 150 points higher than in the second half, and the Phillies are looking to shake up their team after disappointing postseason ouster by the Mets. That's a weird way to phrase it, and I saw a lot of people in agreement there. They're like, just because the postseason didn't go the way you wanted to, and like albeit against the Mets, I understand maybe the frustration added on by the fact that it was the Mets. It just doesn't make sense to me that you would part ways with a guy like this, who I feel like, he's had his ups and downs, but he's had his moments of redemption, and I feel like all things considered, that the fan base has gotten to a point where they've latched on to him. And
I agree. He kind of seems like a fan favorite to me.
Yeah, and he's shown you that he has offensive tools that you can definitely work with, and that I would imagine, want in your lineup night in and night out. So it's like, why are we here? And we'll touch on the Bregman thing, but it's like, why are we hearing, clamorings for Bregman to Philly when it's like you have a guy that still has some control?
Yeah, he's not even. How old is he?
At 28. He's got 2 more years of control. And you're not gonna have to come close to that Bregman price tag. And you can, like, your team is ready to win right now, so you can allocate that money, or you can, instead of trading Bohm, signing Bregman, and handcuffing yourself to that extent, why not just keep the guy that you have for two additional years, who again seems like a fan favorite, but maybe there's Phillies fans that disagree, and then you can maybe make some additions elsewhere to shore up any holes around your roster.
It seems like it's
short-sighted is what it seems like.
It's not a hole, and it's the way Dombrowski operates, though. Like, he's gonna max out the credit cards and do what he can to win now. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, do I believe Alex Bregman right now is an upgrade from Alec Bohm? Yes. But
can I share some numbers with you?
Sure.
Well, finish that thought.
But I like you said, control, fan favorite, can play the corners. He can play first base when Bryce Harper's DHing. So you give him those half day offs. Like, it's just odd to me. It's odd to me. I feel like they need a little bit more depth in their rotation. I feel like they could probably use another bat. Bregman did come out and say that he's willing to play second too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like Bohm. I've always liked Bohm. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, I know it was a little fuzzy there when the whole, like, I hate it here, or like he was just. But that, I mean, at that point, that was at this point that was years ago. People got over it, and like, it's understandable, man. Playing in Philly can't exactly be fun all the time.
Yeah,
like, I get it. People, like, when things are going well, Philly's great. Nobody's got your back better than Philly fans. I understand that. But when things are going poorly, like, they literally made a mini doc about the whole Trey Turner redemption story. Like, that shows you how bad things can get if things aren't going well. And whether it's a team, from a team perspective, or an individual player perspective, like, it probably gets pretty miserable there. But like I said, I think I feel like most people got over that, and that he's sort of endeared himself to the fans. But those numbers that I was going to mention, I saw a graphic earlier and I snagged it so I wouldn't forget it. Alec Bohm versus Alex Bregman dating back to 2023. I mean, I won't read you every single number here, but essentially over that 2-year span, Bregman has 314 hits to Bohm's 308. Bregman has 51 homers to Bohm's 35. Bohm has 194 RBIs to Bregman's 173. Bohm hit 277 to Bregman's 261. The slash. Bohm went 277, 329, 442. And Bregman went 261, 341, 446. And then the OPS, Bohm was 112, or OPS plus, 112 to Bregman's 120. So, like,
there's not enough of a gap.
That's
there
what I'm
to
saying.
Justify the move.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially, I mean, I like Bryson Stott too, but especially if Bregman's willing to play second. If you're telling me keep 2 out of 3 between Stott, Bohm, and Bregman, I'm taking Bregman and Bohm. Stott is the odd man out there for me.
That's fair, yeah. Do we feel like that whole Bregman thing is sort of like a last resort thing, if it means something working out? Because I would venture to say he would probably hesitate to move to second. He would do it, it sounds like. I mean, that's the report that came out. He would be willing to move to second, but I have to assume that that's the type of guy that would want to stick at third if at all possible.
You think it's one of those conversations that's just like trying to earn just a few extra bucks or get a couple more people into the couple more teams in the conversation to raise the price?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't see Bregman, at least in the next, just call it the end until Bohm's a free agent. I don't see in the next 2 years, I don't see Bregman moving to second.
What other suitors do you have for him?
For
Bohm, like where could you see Bohm going if they do move on?
I mean, we're talking about this Bregman thing. I've seen essentially, I mean, it obviously
like
wouldn't be, it's not like a 1-for-1 in terms of a transaction, but like, I could see a Bohm to Houston and Bregman to Philly if that's what ends up happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like, I feel like I see Bregman staying put in Houston. I just don't feel great about the breadth of suitors for him.
Yeah.
And just with his, with his connection to that team and his backstory there, I feel like it'd be harder to ship him out than anybody else if you're the Astros.
Yeah.
Well, minus Altuve, but
say the Phillies miss out on Bregman. Would you do a deal for Arenado if you're the Phillies? Send Bohm and something else there?
How old's Arenado at this point?
34, 33.
33.
Make the Cardinals eat some of that.
He'll be 34 in April.
The Rockies are eating a lot of it still, but
true. Yeah. Well, I'm personally, I'm never gonna say no to a guy like Nolan Arenado. But
I know.
Does it make sense? I don't know.
I don't know if it makes a ton of sense for the Cardinals to do that. It feels like Arenado's being shopped to get Jordan Walker back to third and let Jordan Walker just kind of move into what the Cardinals expect him to be. He's not a right fielder. It's been bad.
You're saying Nolan Arenado's being shopped?
Yeah, I think the Cardinals
for the purpose of Jordan Walker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you're the Phils, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and just say last year was I don't think that's the real Nolan.
I don't think that's the Nolan at this stage in his career. Does he end up like that on a more consistent basis?
Sure.
Maybe in a few years, sure, but I don't think we've reached that point yet.
Yeah.
Last year he had 16 homers, hit 272 with an OPS of 719. League average with OPS plus at 101.
Going back to the Phillies, I think this is just a weird thing to say pre-potential Bregman signing. Now, do you sign Bregman and then start shopping Bohm? Sure. It's just a weird thing to come out and say, putting all your eggs in the Bregman basket. If you don't get him, now you just have a pissed off player who the fans seem to like. I think you and I are right about that. We could be wrong. Phillies fans, if you're in the chat, let us know. But like, I don't know if there's anything wrong with that relationship.
I don't know though. Maybe, and I'm not saying they're intentionally trying to push his buttons, but with the way that his early career has gone in Philly, I feel like he's grown a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like maybe this does push the right buttons. If they don't get Bregman, if he's the starting third baseman for the Philadelphia Phillies in 2025, I could potentially see him responding to this actually surprisingly well. Like you may, like you said, you may have a pissed off Bohm, but maybe that's a good thing.
How about Toronto? They've been hurting a little bit at third base.
I mean, I'd probably put Houston again if the Bregman thing doesn't pan out. I'd probably put Houston at the top of the list, but because there's something to be desired there with Bohm.
Yeah, I like him. I think there's a lot of potential. He's young, controlled. It's odd. Can play first base. Yeah, has shown at times. I mean, he led the league in hitting for that was a better part of 2 months.
Yeah, at the very least, like a month and a half. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was.
So you know what's in there.
He was tearing it up. That's what I'm saying. I think as he matures, as he gets more experience under his belt, like I just hope for the Phillies' sake that they don't regret this decision, because I feel like we're potentially on the brink of something big with a guy like Bohm, and I would just hate for them to be kicking themselves after the fact if he ends up elsewhere.
Yeah.
Speaking of ending up somewhere elsewhere, Tropicana Field, not in great shape, in case you heard. Just got shredded by Hurricane Milton. And the Rays, it was announced today, will be playing their home games in the actual Tampa, in the actual city of Tampa, at George M. Steinbrenner Field, spring training home of the New York Yankees.
Weird. Really weird. They're saying they can't get it repaired in time.
It's either that or the Rays are just not willing to fork over that money all at once, because it would run them about 56 mil to replace to make those repairs. Yeah, 56 mil.
Well, you got to make them. What else are they going to do? They're going to play at Steinbrenner Field the whole year?
That's the plan. Yeah.
I thought it was just home opener.
No, dude, this is the whole season. This is their home game. Like,
why would their home games?
Where did you hear one home opener game?
I thought it was like their opening series.
Yeah, the construction crew's like, hey guys, we can have this thing ready by like April 3rd. But those few days before, like that opening series, you're gonna have to figure it out.
Maybe had like a 10-day road trip after opening.
You're gonna have to figure it out. April 3rd's the best we can do. That's best case, and that's if we sign the papers right now. No, but they'll be ready.
I read that wrong.
They'll be, yeah.
Dang.
3 games versus 81 games. Yeah, the repairs should be ready by 2026 is what they're saying.
Wild. Yanks are getting $15 million.
Stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Why? I think it's a good amount. Hal, if you're listening to this, raise payroll by $15 million this year just because of that. Be willing to fork over some cash this offseason. Thanks to the Rays. Well,
stupid.
Yet another team being displaced. So we're gonna have the Sacramento A's. We're gonna have the Steinbrenner Rays.
No. We're not gonna have the Sacramento A's. It's just the A's.
Right, but they're gonna be in Sacramento playing at a different field, and then you're gonna have the Steinbrenner Rays. That's got to be insane, dude. Well, I mean, it is basically a Yankees home game whenever they play Yankees in Tampa. So might as well just move it to the Yankees facility. This is so weird.
Ryan, yeah, what is Major League Baseball in 2025? I don't understand. Ryan Spader on Twitter said the Rays average 16,515 fans per game in 2024. Steinbrenner Field has a max capacity of 11,026. Sellouts are coming to Tampa.
Hey-oh.
On that note, and I was thinking about this earlier, on that note, can we normalize? I mean, I know it's not something you can just flip a switch on overnight, but like moving forward, and I know this isn't going to happen, so I don't even know why I'm saying this, but can smaller venues become more of the norm?
Okay.
Like there's something just more
intimate.
More intimate. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. There's something more intimate. I was looking around at some attendance numbers or capacity numbers, I should say. And I think the number that I settled on, just based on one, the stadiums that I've been to, like personally, that are comparable, and two, just, you know, seeing the games from afar, seeing the games on TV and sort of getting a feel for it that way. I feel like the number that I capped my ideal venue at was like, I would go like 38.
38,000?
30, like no more than 38.
What does Fenway hold? 28?
No, Fenway is 37. Kauffman is 37, basically 38. Target's 38.5. Lone Depot's 37. Progressive, the smallest field in baseball, 34.
It's kind of weird that Kauffman holds that few.
Yeah.
In such a big ballpark.
But like 38 seems like a
that's a sweet spot.
Because I get tired of watching and I understand it's a business, but like I just get tired of watching baseball games where like the upper bowls are like completely empty. Like you're not going to make that money anyway, so like at least go for the sellout experience, you know? Create a little bit of demand there. There's probably a little business lesson to be learned there. I don't know. I'm not a businessman, but like 38 seems like a good number.
Yeah, the Rays still can't get there.
No, yeah, even if it was 38.
Maybe that it's actually in Tampa. This will help. But good stuff. Good stuff, Tampa Bay Rays.
I don't even know if they're going to be getting sellouts at 11,000 though. Because
when are they leaving? When's the lease up at Tropicana?
What is that? 20? That's 2028.
So are they just?
This is a bad day to look that up because every result is Steinbrenner Stadium.
True. I wonder if they're just refusing to make this repair and using it as like leverage to get out of this lease sooner.
Opening day 2028. Yeah, I was right.
That's when it ends?
No, like opening day 2028 will be in the new park.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's a valid thought. That whole situation's weird anyway. It's like the Rays have to know that their stadium sucks.
And why are we getting this like a month after the hurricane? Maybe more. It's been a while.
Yeah, maybe if we would have found this out a couple weeks ago, these construction crews maybe could have bumped up that April 3rd timeline.
Yeah.
Like, hey, don't worry about finding a home for opening weekend. We got you covered.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Me neither. Is that it? That's all we got?
Just a couple more items here, super quick. Travis d'Arnaud.
This is a crazy time to use this. This is wild.
Signed a 2-year, $12 million contract with the Los Angeles Angels.
2 years,
$12 million. So the d'Arnaud era in Atlanta has come to an end.
I'm going to go ahead and say this is just, protecting Logan O'Hoppe. O'Hoppe, I think, is probably a top 10 catcher in baseball at this moment, right? Meow. Maybe get him off his feet a little bit. Worst case scenario, someone at the deadline needs a veteran catcher to be filled. It's a budget move. Trade him on over. Not bad. Not a bad pickup.
Mind you, this is the Angels, third move, I believe, thus far. Maybe one other minor, smaller deal, but they've added Kyle Hendricks, as I believe we covered briefly, and then also Jorge Soler.
Sneaky move, Jorge Soler. Very under the radar.
I agree. And lastly here, the Silver Sluggers were announced earlier this week. No sense in going through all of them by name, but just a couple takeaways. 14 teams had at least one Silver Slugger winner, 7 first-time winners, and 2 players took home their 7th Silver Slugger. Do you know the 2 players? Putting you on the spot here.
2 players that took home their 7th?
7th. I was shocked at one of them. The other one, it made sense. I mean, they both make sense, but the one I'm like, man, I'm old. I am old if that's the case.
Their 7th.
Again, completely putting you on the spot here.
Jose Ramirez?
Nope. Although I think he was up there. What he got, 5, 6?
Lindor?
5th time. Yeah. No, the one that I was less surprised about, Jose Altuve. Like, that makes sense. But the one that surprised me, 7 Mookie Betts. And not because I don't think he's capable of earning, a dozen Silver Sluggers. That's not the point. I'm just like, my goodness. This man has been
a minute.
Not just that, but he's been dominant for a minute now at this point. I'm just like, my goodness, where does the time go? Unbelievable. Hard to believe he's notched 7 already. So yeah, I think
what did he go in as? Right fielder?
Yeah. Or no, utility.
Oh. That's
And-
unfair to the rest of the utility guys, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
an easy one.
Well,
Easy dub.
mind you, he was the Dodgers' forever, everyday, permanent shortstop, temporarily, no matter what, for the time being, until we change our mind. But don't count on it. But there's the possibility.
But and we're going to change our mind again and move him back.
And he's coming back. Yeah. But it's possible he may stay. Time will tell. Don't know. But count on it. That's the state of the personnel situation in LA. But they're not worried about that whatsoever. The next award we got on deck, what is the next award? Would that be the Cy Young?
Rolaids reliever of the year.
Or no, maybe Rookie of the Year, possibly. Rookie of the Year will be November 18th. Manager of the Year, November 19th. MVP, November 21st. I'm sorry, Cy Young, November 20th. And then MVP, November 21st. So next up, we got the Rookies of the Year.
Who do you got for that? Do you remember?
Who do I have?
Prediction-wise?
What? Who did I predict? Or
Yeah, from Hot Takes.
Let's see here. Let's pull out the old handy dandy graphic. I know I didn't get it right. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, me neither. Ooh. Good guesses looking back on it.
What did I go with?
I don't know what you went with. I had Wyatt Langford and Jung-Hoo Lee. I'd double down on that.
Dude, the
if you
photo
started
apps with the iPhone update sucks. I can't figure anything out. How do I get to my favorites?
Oh, yeah, those are gone. They don't exist anymore.
No, they exist, but
No. Apple said no.
What is happening?
Apple said good luck.
All right,
Scroll back to
Here we go. I got it.
February.
Yeah, I got it. Rookies of the Year for me, Evan Carter and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Injuries plagued them both. What can I say?
Pretty sure it's going to be Jackson Merrill. And the AL is interesting. I don't know.
We'll know soon enough. And then last closing thought here. Did you by chance see that WFAN is about to pick up Dave Sims, friend of the pod, former guest,
Really?
to replace John Sterling? Did you see this?
No.
Yeah. News came out. Actually, it makes sense. I think you were wrapping up work today, but news came out not too long ago. It said that they're closing in on making him their new guy.
Oh, my.
And that would be the Yankees, if you're unfamiliar with
Dave Sims, true professional.
radio.
That man knows what he be doing.
Some legendary calls, I will say.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, former guest on this podcast. So
No big deal.
go back and check it out. That was a good interview.
That's excellent. I like that. Really like that. Wonder how he's going to do with Susan. Him and Susan together.
Seems like, I mean, he's a personable guy.
Yeah.
He'll fit in just fine there.
Yeah.
And if you remember, he loves telling his stories, and
Yeah.
he loves baseball. So you give him a platform like the Yankees, or I guess a franchise, I should say. You give him a franchise like the Yankees where he can just
Got a lot to work with. Yeah.
nerd out about stories and connections he's got. He's gonna love that. He's gonna that's a good fit. I like him there. Well, I don't like that he's there, but bias aside, I think it's a good fit.
Sweet. Good stuff.
That's all I got.
Good stuff. Everybody have a good weekend. Let's get after it. I'm going to make some homemade pizza tonight. Try again. I got that thing, that shovel thing, so I can spin it in there. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, as long as you don't light it on fire this time.
I forget what they call it. I ordered it on Amazon. Call it something else. It's a weird word. It's a word you wouldn't expect. Peel. It's a pizza peel.
Pizza peel. Interesting.
Peel. Anyway, updates later. Don't go chasing curveballs.
We love y'all. As always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.